This video is about eunuchs in the Bible and the three types of eunuchs. Frequently asked questions. What is the purpose of eunuchs? The purpose of eunuchs depended greatly on how society viewed them. In most cases, eunuchs were entrusted as guards or servants as well as advisors. What did eunuchs have cut off? Eunuchs typically would have their testicles removed. In some situations, eunuchs would have the penis removed as well. The removal of both exterior sexual organs was known as emasculation. What was the purpose of a eunuch? The term eunuch is derived from the ancient Greek eunuch, Ichien, meaning bed guard. One of the crucial functions performed by the eunuch was to protect royal or aristocratic women's quarters and to serve the women of the court. Eunuchs were also frequently employed as court officials, often of very high rank. Now, we're going to explain the eunuchs on the Bible. So, Jesus actually told people about eunuchs. So, in Matthew 9:12, King James Version, for there are some eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb, and there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men. And there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it. So we're going to also read Matthew, the Bible verse where Jesus talks about eunuchs in the New International Version. So in Matthew 19:12, New International Version, for there are eunuchs who were born that way, and there are eunuchs who have been made eunuchs by others, and there are those who choose to live like eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. The one who can accept it should accept it. So what are the three types of eunuchs? The first type of eunuch is mentioned here in the Bible, for there are eunuchs which are born from their mother's womb, meaning they are born that way. Before they were conceived, when their mother was still carrying them in the womb, the baby is when the baby comes out, it's already intersex, meaning they're already born as eunuchs or women with penises. And the second one there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men. So there is eunuchs who are made by other men, which means they were experimented through science and other forms of processes where they were able to invert the genitals of the person. And the number 3 eunuch is, and there be eunuchs which have been made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it. So there are going to be people that will choose to be eunuchs for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. Okay, so this is an example of a graph. Showing the three types of eunuchs, explaining. So men with eunuchs, men made themselves eunuchs in devotion to God, which is the third type of eunuch, and the men made eunuchs by men, which is the second type of eunuchs. So it's the form of castration or surgery. So back to number 3, men made themselves eunuchs in the devotion to God, which means they chose to devote themselves, dedicate their lives to be a eunuch in devotion to God. I'm going to explain it later more about the three types of eunuchs. So number 1 is men born as eunuchs. So it's called as cryptorchidism. So the first type of eunuch, like this for example, as you know, eunuchs that are born that way. So another characteristic of the first type of eunuch, which was born from their mother's womb, is they're men, or they are born sterile. So they are barren and they can't have children. Second one is those lacking sex drive. So they don't feel aroused and they don't have any sexual um, drive. So people with ambiguous sexual characteristics such as intersex people. So an example of that is free martins, which are women with penis, intersex conditions. So I just want to mention that there's a big difference between a eunuch and a hermaphrodite. Okay, eunuchs that are mentioned by Jesus Christ, God, is different from hermaphrodites. So yeah, this is the example of a picture of a eunuch with eunuchoid proportions. Notice how the body has similar bone structure, shape, with a female skeleton or a woman's body. Notice the sloping shoulders and the example of the picture of a eunuch sloping down. And also, it has female breasts and really big female hips with a Q angle and really small genital or penis. Some eunuchs can have short arms, but some of them can have long arms. It depends on the genetics of the eunuch. And mostly they have short torso and long legs. And also a very feminine face. So how do I, okay, before I proceed to the second type of eunuch, I'm going to explain about, how to identify the gender of a person. So, based on my research, archaeologists find out the sex of a skeleton um, by, they find it using ancient human remains. They often try to determine if the person was male or female based on their bones. So it's identifying the gender of a person based on their skeleton is quite complicated and complex type of explanation or doing explaining to people. Okay, so it's gonna be a long way for a person to understand it easily. So maybe in another video, I will make a transvestigation video or how to identify the gender of a person based on the skeleton. Okay, because it actually took me 3 to 4 years to be an expert on identifying the gender of a person. So, but there are ways for a person to easily know the gender of the person based on the skeleton, based on the skeletal markers, and practice makes perfect. You can easily know the gender of it. Okay, you can easily know this one or learn this one. Okay, so the second type of eunuchs. Okay, this is going to be a very controversial topic. So the second type of eunuchs, and Jesus mentioned in the Bible, he said that, and there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men. So this picture is an example of a eunuchs made of men. Notice how they have female skeleton, female features, but also masculine features. This is actually called as free martin or intersex condition. Okay, so this is an example of a skinny eunuch, and this is the chubby eunuch. So as you can see, based on the skeleton of some of these eunuchs, this eunuch have sloping shoulders. Okay, it's a woman with a penis. And also some eunuchs can have long arms, just like this one. Long humerus bone, long arms, and fingers doesn't end. Um, um, it doesn't end on the uh, crotch area. Its fingers still goes longer. So also notice how this eunuch doesn't really have long neck, and also it has female short um, torso and big female hips, long legs, short torso. Okay, so this is female. Most eunuchs nowadays are girls with penises with pre-Martin intersex condition, but they are different from hermaphrodites. Okay, and also it has female face, female. Well, this is a female with a penis. So how are these things made? Okay, wait, I'm gonna explain about the other one. So okay, notice how you see a lot of so-called men nowadays with this body type. They have wide shoulders, and but still the shoulders still is in line with the hips, which is a female trait, and also the sloping shoulders, the big hips, short torso, long legs. Female trait. This is a female body. This is a female skeleton. Example of female skeleton. There are also like eunuchs with mostly pre-Martins. They have short humerus bones and short arms, but they have long fingers. Okay, so that's one of the traits that you will notice in some of these eunuchs. Also, most of the eunuchs have higher fat percentage. They have, you know, they have breasts. Okay, and notice how you don't really see that much of a collarbone. And although this skinny eunuch have a collarbone, it's still a V-shaped clavicle or collarbone, so it's not male. Men have straight across clavicle and broad shoulders. So, anyways, this is the truth that a lot of people still don't know. Some may know, I don't know, I'm not sure. Yeah, I do believe that there are other people who know about this condition. Majority of the population still don't know about it, or just doesn't want to talk about it. So, anyways, this is for these two are actually an example of a fertile eunuch. Okay, so okay, I want people to be open-minded and what I'm going to say, because I feel like God is like telling me to, make this video, tell people the truth, and make them hear it. Okay, so I hope people don't bash me or harass me if I, say this thing, because I do know a lot of people will find this information quite painful or hard to understand, and it will take time, and also like um me I ask God for for this knowledge, and He gave it to me, and you have to ask God to help you understand it, to understand it better. Okay, this is the fact, the truth that a lot of people don't know. A lot of the so-called men that you see outside, or the so-called men, world's population, they're actually interesting. Okay, they are pre-Martins. They are eunuchs made by men. So eunuchs made by men. I forgot to make a word or a PowerPoint presentation about that. How explaining how they do it, because they usually hide this information to people. They don't want people to know the truth, especially the ones the elites, the people who are controlling the world, they don't want people to know the truth. That's why they don't really give out information about this one. And so anyways, the truth is this, okay? Real men are very rare. Me personally, I haven't seen a real biological man who has a male skeleton and male genitalia or male penis. And usually, um, the so-called men that we see, they're eunuchs made by men. Like example, I just Google uh, pictures of men of 2025, and these are models. So I shouldn't use this as an example to people to show what real men, so-called men, who are eunuchs for today. But since Google is one of um the ones helping to hide the truth, so I'll just use this picture as reference as an example. So some of these celebrities, they're not really humans. They're actually hermaphrodites. It's quite different from the eunuchs. Um, and I really don't want to talk that much about celebrities because I think other people already like talk about exposing them, like they are Satan's puppets and hermaphrodites and stuff like that. But let's just say that some of these celebrities, they have similar body structure as humans. So anyways, still, this one has a hermaphrodite transgender body. Look at the sloped shoulders on the examples of these pictures, the so-called male models. Some say that they are gay, but since they're hermaphrodites, they're both male and female feature, male and female sex, so it's quite complicated for people to understand it. So anyway, let's just say that this men, all women have the same body as this, but they're not. They're women. You have female skeleton. They are eunuchs made by men. So I'm gonna explain more about a little bit of how pre-Martin, eunuchs made by men. Okay, so this is based on what I think. They used the science to create to experiment on these eunuchs made by men. So you know how a child, a baby in the womb of their mother is still developing. They are they I think they use this experiment where they I don't know how they inject it, or they make the pregnant mother ingest male hormones, testosterone, because I think that's what they do. Okay, and since the baby is developing and the hormones are you know um changing the baby's structure, I think the connection between the clitoris is similar to the penis. Okay, I think to me, um, the clitoris is the so-called penis that is so-called eunuchs made by men have. Okay, because testosterone, steroids, it's the male hormone. It emasculizes. I mean, look at the examples of the so-called female to male transgenders, openly female, that took testosterone, male hormone, to become transgenders, to be a trans man, to to change their gender. But they still can change their gender. They still have a vagina. So yeah. But I did notice a lot of them. testosterone is actually a very powerful hormone because I see the changes. Okay, their voices changes from feminine voice to lower masculine pitch voice, male voice, but there's still this feminine sound to it. And also, some of them they grow a bit of a small Adam's apple, but it's not the same as the real man's Adam's apple because they only usually have one bulge, and you can easily identify if it's testosterone hormone Adam's apple based on the how it's shaped. And also it can make it can make them have body hair and like having a mustache. And yeah, I think that's mostly it about but I mean, just look at the so-called men nowadays that you see outside. They have the similar body as those openly female to male transgenders. They look so similar. It's like she looks like he looks like a butch, looks like a lesbian and stuff like that. It's not like a of insult, but it's just the thing that you've noticed. Okay, if if you're awake to this. And also yeah, they have the similar body structure as females and male transgenders, this made by men. And you know um but this is the trait that you usually notice a lot on this free martin eunuchs made by men. Okay, that they all have long fingers and big feet. Okay, big foot. Yeah, but the skeleton is a female, and the only thing that it changed from them is that they have a penis, small. They usually have small penises, small genitals, and yeah, some of them they are fertile. Okay, some of them are not. It usually depends. Okay, and also eunuchs, some of them, majority, that's why a lot of people would they say that, oh, the person is gay because they think it's gay because they are quite a bit feminine, but they're actually women. Okay, but they're still different from hermaphrodites. Okay, if eunuchs made by men, they're still different. Okay, and that's why some of the people say, that, "Oh, this one is gay." But no, it's not just that. It doesn't. They don't fall in love with women because they are women. Deep inside, they know they're women. And also, uh, there are eunuchs though that are eunuchs made by men that are do fall. This is quite a bit controversial. I don't know how to explain this one. Okay, this is quite hard. I don't know. I know people are gonna hate me or have this kind of, strong negative feeling from me when I say this, but I'm gonna say it. Okay, please don't hate me. Don't hate me for this. I'm not sure though. Can eunuchs made by men, girls with dicks, were experimented when they were, a fetus inside their mother's womb, be saved? Because in the Bible it is said that um homosexuality is a big sin against God. It's an abomination to Him. And since like pre-Martins, eunuchs, girls with dicks, they're women who marries and have kids with real biological women. So does that mean that they're homosexuals? They're lesbians. Okay, so are they going to hell? So my answer to that question, because I'm just you know you know I'm not an expert. Okay, I don't know. I'm only human. Okay, I'm not God. I don't know the answer to that. I've actually um think of answers to this, but to me, my answer, God said that let your yes be yes and no be no. You should answer only by yes or no. My answer to this is Um, I don't know. I really don't know. I can't say yes. I can't say no either. Are they really gonna go to hell? I don't know the answer. Okay, and only God knows the answer to that. But to me, as you know, a person who wants to help other people know the truth, telling people the truth, and also please give me your opinions about this. What do you think? Okay, um, based on what the Bible says. What do you think? What God says? Okay, do you think that uh, Drew Martin girls with dicks are gonna go to hell because they married women? Okay, so I don't wanna make this video too long, but I should have think this through. I don't know how to explain this in a easier term because I really don't know the answer to that question. But okay, so this is what I'm just gonna do is to tell people what I know, and I want other people to share their thoughts, and someone who is more expert or really knows the answer or has information about this. So, anyways, I'm just telling you what I know. Okay, I'm telling what God is telling me to do. And so, anyways, I'll give you another example. Okay. Um. Okay. About the second type of eunuchs, the eunuchs made by men, which is the Filipino families. Okay, these eunuchs made by men. Example of it. So, okay, I hope I don't get in trouble or I get any problems because, I just screenshotted, these pictures on Google about eunuchs. Okay, because, my Google account, my phone got hacked and I don't know for some reason, but most of the recommended things to me, some of them are trying to get me in trouble, trying to get me harassed. So I'm quite hesitant to use Google. So anyways, this is the example of Filipino families. Oh, I can zoom it. No. Anyways, so like as you can see in this picture, this is the so-called dad, right? And this is the mom. So this so-called dad is actually an example of a pre-Martin, a eunuch made by men. Notice how it has really short neck, it has female features, and they are the majority of the world, okay? Not just in Filipino families. They're everywhere, okay? Eunuchs. But they're not hermaphrodites, okay? They're eunuchs, okay? So yeah, this so-called dad, J. Martin dad, it can never produce it can never have the male sperm because it has a female sperm. The reason why it has this other son, so-called son, another girl with a penis like its father or its dad, it's because um, um he is it's the only it's the only DNA, the only sperm that the dad can create. Okay, is it the dad? If you Martin dad is the woman, so it's usually gonna produce female sperm, female offspring. That's why he has a lot of daughters and only two girl with a dick son. So yeah, just like in this other picture, this is also a free Martin dad with his daughter and the biological woman man. This one too, the dad with a dick, the girl with a dick dad, and the biological woman man, a biological woman mother, and then they're female and one homosexual. I don't know. Some of them are. I can't really say that they're homosexual. I can only say that they're homosexual when they're engaged. These eunuchs made by men. I can only say that they are homosexuals when they engage in homosexual sodomy, gay sex, and also like being in a relationship with another girl with a dick that is so-called straight men, who's also a girl with a dick eunuch made by men, because you can't really see real men anywhere, okay? So yeah, it's still gay. It's still a homosexual because real men are rare. So the so-called gay men who are actually eunuchs made by men having in a relationship with another so-called man, straight man, is actually, they don't know that it's also the same as the so-called homosexual eunuch made by men. So this is quite complicated to explain, but I hope you're following what I'm saying. So anyways, this is also another example of a eunuch dad with its family. So I don't want to make this video too long. So yeah, this is another example of Caucasian families where there is a girl with a dick, eunuch made by men dad, and I can't say that this is. I think that this is also a man with a vagina, maybe hermaphrodite. I don't know. And usually some of them have IVF baby. Okay, I don't want to talk a lot about that. But anyways, yeah, most families, it's a biological woman. Even on Caucasian families, white people families, yeah, it's a biological woman. Mom, and then the, eunuch made by men, girl with a dick dad, same as this, same as that. Also in black families, Negro families, they, so-called, dad is a woman with a penis, and then biological woman wife gives birth to, same as everywhere, yeah. They're everywhere, okay? This eunuchs made by men, they're everywhere. And because they don't have the male sperm, they will never be able to, produce children who are, real biological men with male skeleton and male genitals or penis. So yeah, even in Arab countries, Middle Eastern families, the so-called dad is also a woman with a penis. It's a eunuch made by men. So eunuch made by men, they can, produce sperm, female sperm, and they can impregnate a woman and give us give their the sperm to create another biological woman, a girl, female, child, or just like the same as the dad, is the little boy here, the same as the girl with the dad. Pretty much an eunuch made by men. So that's the truth about this world. Okay, a lot of so-called men, they're actually eunuch made by men. Okay, so another example of eunuch made by men. Some of them, I don't know, because me personally, I haven't seen a real biological man, so I can't say that there are real biological men who are made as eunuchs, who get their penises, they get castrated. So I do believe that there are some eunuchs made by men who became eunuchs by castrating themselves, but they're not real men. They're still eunuchs who thinks that they're going to become a eunuch, but they're already a eunuch. Anyway, so the third type of eunuch is this one, where Jesus said, "And there be eunuchs which have been made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it." So an example of this in the Bible is, the book of Esther that features several named eunuchs who were part of the Persian court. Isaiah 39:7 and 2 Kings 20:18 mention a prophecy that the descendants of King Hezekiah would become eunuchs in the Babylonian court. So even in the Old Testament, 2,000 years ago, 3,000 years ago, eunuchs have been existing. Okay, just like in the days of Noah, what will happen in the past will happen again in the future. So I don't wanna make this video too long. Reading the book of Esther about eunuchs. I'm just gonna show you Bible verses where you can read information. The story about eunuchs or information about eunuchs. So the third type of eunuchs is they made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. So yeah, that's the third type of eunuch. They voluntarily abstain from marriage for a higher spiritual purpose, devoting themselves to God's service. It's a teaching about celibacy or voluntary sacrifice for spiritual reasons, not physical castration. Some of them, though, they don't castrate. In the past, in the Old Testament, there are still real biological men. They become eunuchs, but some of them don't really castrate themselves. Okay. With a final line, he that is able to receive it, let him receive it, signifying that not everyone can or should embrace their path, but those who can understand and accept this calling should. So yeah, very understandable. So yeah, another example is the Ethiopian eunuch in Acts 8:26-40, an Ethiopian eunuch of great authority, returning from Jerusalem, is encountered by Philip the evangelist. After Philip explains the scriptures, the eunuch believes and is baptized, a pivotal moment showing the inclusion of an outcast in the early church. So the symbolic meaning of this one is Jesus' teaching on eunuchs. What do you mean with symbolic meaning? Okay, so what it means, okay, in that. Sorry, there's some error in my PowerPoint presentation. So what this means in the third type of eunuchs, in simple terms, is that Jesus' teaching on eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven is interpreted as referring to those who choose celibacy for spiritual reasons. Celibacy means abstaining from sex or any sexual relationships with other people, and also abstaining from marriage, having kids, which become an important concept in Christian tradition. So I'm gonna read you a Bible verse from Matthew 11:15, King James Version. He that hath ears to hear, let them hear. Okay, so I just want to say that please don't hate me for making this video, telling people what I know, information that I have, and I just want people to hear. They want to hear. Please do not send hate. Please do not harass me for creating this video. Anyways, so I'm just going to read to you the Bible verse, or about the whole scripture about where Jesus talks about eunuchs. Okay, so here in Matthew 9, King James Version. And it came to pass that when Jesus had finished these sayings, he departed from Galilee, and came into the coast of Judea beyond Jordan. And great multitudes followed him, and he healed them there. And he answered and said unto them, Have ye not read that he which have made them at the beginning made them male and female? And said, For this cause shall a man leave father and mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. Therefore they are no more twain, but one flesh. What therefore God hath joined together, let not man put asunder. They say unto him, Why did Moses then command to give a writing of divorcement, and put her away? So in this verse, the people were asking Jesus, like, why was divorce allowed in the past? So anyway, he said unto them, also it's because of the hardness of your hearts suffered you to put away your wives. But from the beginning it was not so. So, yeah. And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery. And whoso marrieth her which is put away doth commit adultery. His disciples said unto him, if the case of the man be so with his wife, it is not good to marry. So yeah. So his disciples said like, yeah, it's better not to marry because marriage is so complicated. So okay, but he said unto them, all men cannot receive this, saying, save they to whom it is given. So not many people are gonna receive this one. So anyone who wants to, listen to this, should listen. Okay. Or get this information. For there are some eunuchs. Okay, this is the verse where Jesus was talking about it. So for there are eunuchs which were so born from their mother's womb, and there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men, and there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it. Then were there brought unto him little children, that he should put his hands on them and pray. And the disciples rebuked him. Okay, I just want to mention about this one again, where Jesus says, he that able to receive it, let him receive it. So if you are a eunuch made by who is born that way, you should, receive it. And, I think God is saying that if you're a eunuch, who's born that way, I think, this is just my opinion, I think you should not marry. Okay. And, and the second, type of eunuch, I'm not sure about this answer, okay? But, okay, this is my opinion, okay? I stand firm on this one. I do believe that it is the end days, the last days, and people should not marry anymore, okay? Because God, Jesus Christ said it himself that, people, it will be very hard for those women who are pregnant, and, I think that people should, there's a Bible verse that God said, like, in the days of Noah, what happens in the past will happen again. So, yeah, where there were days where they were marrying, drinking, and, so I think that women and eunuchs made by men, you should, now that it's 2025, I think you should not marry and have kids anymore, okay? God, that is what God is telling me to tell you, okay? I think, and people should stop marrying, okay? Do not have children anymore, because this is the last days, it's the end days, and people, if you love God, Jesus Christ, you should follow His commandments. Okay, that is what I'm going to say. So on the third, eunuchs made for the kingdom of heaven's sake. I do believe that there are some pre-Martin eunuchs made by men. If you want to be celibate, I think that is what you should do. Like, real men are still rare, so I think the third one, this can be applied to, like, eunuchs who are made by men. You should choose to be celibate. Being a eunuch actually means, abstaining from, especially the third meaning of the eunuch. You should abstain from sexual relationships, marriage, having kids, and stuff like that. So, he that is able to receive it, let him receive it. So, okay, I'm just gonna read the entire Bible verse. Okay. Then were there brought unto him little children, that he should put his hands on them, and pray. And the disciples rebuked him. But Jesus said, suffer little children, and forbid them not to come unto me, for of such is the kingdom of heaven. And he laid his hands on him, and departed him thence. And behold, One came and said unto him, Good master, what good thing shall I do, that I may have eternal life? So, okay, this is the answer, Jesus' answer to people who wants to know how they can go to heaven. And behold, and he said unto him, Why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is God. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments. He said unto him, Which? Jesus said, Thou shalt do no murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness, honor thy father and thy mother, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. The young man said unto him, All these things I have kept from my youth up. What lack I yet? Jesus said unto him, If thou wilt be perfect, go and sell that thou hast, and give to the poor, and thou shalt have treasure in heaven. And come and follow me. But when the young man heard that saying, he went away sorrowful, for he had great possessions. Then Jesus said unto his disciples, Verily I say unto you, that a rich man shall hardly enter into the kingdom of heaven. And again, I say unto you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. When his disciples heard it, they were exceedingly amazed, saying, Who then can be saved? But Jesus beheld them, and said unto them, With men this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. And answered Peter, and said unto him, Behold, we have forsaken all, and followed thee. What shall we have therefore? And Jesus said unto them, Verily I say unto you, that ye which have followed me in the regeneration, when the Son of Man shall sit in the throne of his glory, ye shall also sit up upon 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Israel. And every one that hath forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit everlasting life. But many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Okay. Amen. So that's the Bible verse where Jesus talks about eunuchs. Okay, there's many, but I'm just gonna, Jesus talks a lot about the eunuchs, based on other, the other, apostles who write about, prophets who write about, the Bible. Okay, I'm just gonna mention this one in Matthew. So anyways, this is all for the video. Please do not send hate against me. Please do not harass me when I, make this video. And, please don't hate me when I said about what I said about, and the second type of eunuchs, the eunuchs made by men. I do seriously urge people that please stop marrying and have kids, especially if you know that you're a biological woman and you're gonna marry a, eunuch made by men, or girls with dicks, free martins, intersex people. And please, people should not marry anymore. We are in the last days. We are in the end days. And, if you love God, Jesus Christ, follow His commandments, okay? And read the Bible for yourself, and also ask God for wisdom and discernment, and He will give it to you. And, okay, so, this is all for the video. Thanks for listening. Share your thoughts and opinions. That's all. Bye.